Hello dear students, today we would learn about tragic hero. Tragic hero is a concept which was initially given by Aristotle, and he gave this concept with reference to the definition of tragedy. According to Aristotle, the purpose of tragedy is to arouse the feelings of pity and fear so that their arousal may lead to the process which is known as catharsis. It means catharsis is the main objective of the tragedy. And now the question arises, what is the role of a hero in a tragedy? It means the hero should be such who is capable of arousing the feeling of pity and fear so that they may lead to the catharsis of such emotions in the audience. So he has suggested certain characteristics or qualities which should be possessed by a tragic hero. So here we would discuss Aristotelian concept of tragic hero. So now let us begin about that concept. Obviously, the tragic hero is the protagonist in a tragedy. According to Aristotle, a tragic hero is a person who commits error in judgment which eventually leads to his downfall. And it evokes a sense of pity and fear in the audience, and these arousal of the feelings of pity and fear, they are necessary for experiencing catharsis. And catharsis, as I told you, is the main objective of the tragedy. So the basic thing which you should keep in mind that the hero commits an error of judgment, and because of that error in his judgment, he is eventually falling, and his fall is arousing the feeling of pity and fear in the audience, and this pity and fear leads to catharsis. So this is whole of the process under which the hero suffers or he undergoes all these things. So how and what qualities should be there in a hero so that this process of catharsis may take place? So these are the characteristics which were defined by Aristotle in his Poetics. So first, he should be a man of noble birth, a renowned personality, a prosperous man. He should be popular amongst public, and he should have graceful and charming personality. Why he should possess all these qualities? According to Aristotle, he says if a hero is belonging to a noble family, having a reputed status in the society, then his downfall may arouse pity and fear easily in the audience. At that time, it was thought proper that if a person belonging to a royal family or a person having a status in the society, if his downfall is shown on the stage, it may affect the audience very well. This part of or this characteristic, rather should I say, has been changed with the passage of time, and now the tragic hero in modern tragedies are not essentially the person of noble birth. And according to modern critics, anyone belonging to the common status or the ordinary status of a human being can be a fit hero for the tragedy. This change has taken place after Aristotle. And I would try to take the example of Hamlet to make you understand the qualities of a tragic hero. So through the example of Hamlet, I would let you know about all these qualities. So as far as Hamlet is concerned, he is a man of noble birth, he is renowned, he is prosperous because he is a prince of Denmark, and he is also popular in the public, and he is obviously having a hero-like personality, graceful and charming. Second quality is that he should be true to life. This is a very significant thing. True to life means he should be preeminently great but not perfect. He should be great. It means he is possessing a number of qualities that should be possessed by a human being, but he is not perfect. Not perfect. This is quite significant, that he is not an ideal. Rather, he is also suffering from one or two weaknesses in his character, And why this kind of man is selected for tragedy? Because according to Aristotle, if a person is an ideal and he is meeting some tragedy, then obviously audience would not believe in the fact that a perfect person can also meet such kind of tragic incidents in his life. And if the person on the other hand is not up to the mark, he is a villainous character or he is imperfect in every respect, in that condition also audience would not admire such person, because if the tragedy is happening with that person who is essentially not perfect, in that condition the audience would say that okay, tragedy should happen with such kind of person. That is why it is essential. Greatness should be there, but he is not perfect in each and every respect, and this not perfect quality, this imperfection in his character definitely leads to his tragedy. So this also happens in Hamlet. Hamlet is great in certain respects. He is possessing all the qualities. He is virtuous. He is having the feeling of love for his friends, for his beloved, for his father, for his mother, and he is kind-hearted towards the public. But in spite of all that, he is suffering from one weakness in his character, and this weakness becomes the cause of his downfall. So this is the most significant thing. He must have hamartia in his character. Hamartia is that weakness in the character of the person which ultimately becomes the cause of his downfall, and it is also called the tragic flaw. If Hamlet is concerned, the tragic flaw of Hamlet is that he thinks too much and he is hesitant in acting immediately. So before taking action, he thinks too much, and that is why the action gets delayed. For example, he has decided to kill the murderer of his father. But whenever he is getting chance to take the revenge on his uncle, whom he knows to be the murderer of his father, what happens? He begins to think and the action is delayed. And because of that delayed action, the tragedy happens with him. And this delayed action becomes the cause of his downfall. So this hamartia is that weakness of character which becomes the cause of the downfall of the hero. And when a great person, when a person having a number of quality falls because of one imperfection, that definitely arouses the feeling of pity and fear and leads to catharsis, which is the objective of the tragedy. The next characteristic of a tragic hero is that he must suffer, and the punishment inflicted on him should be greater than his mistake. So suffering is obviously there. If it is tragedy, hero would definitely suffer, and he suffers because of his hamartia, because of the imperfection which he is having in his character. But what thing arouses the feeling of pity and fear is that the punishment that is inflicted on him, it is greater than his mistake. In comparison to the mistake that he has committed, he gets a greater punishment. And because of that greater punishment, again what happens? The readers or the audience feel pity and fear towards him. And that is the purpose of tragedy, because pity, arousal of the feeling of pity and fear obviously leads to catharsis. And if we apply this characteristic on Hamlet, then we would definitely see that Hamlet suffers, and because of he suffers both externally and internally. Internally, he is suffering from his true nature. By nature he is virtuous, he is religious, but the act which he is trying to do is against that morality, that religious temperament, and that is why he suffers mentally. And externally he is also fighting with or he is also struggling with people like Claudius and Lardes, his friend, and other persons. And what is the impact of that mistake which he has committed? That he is punished, and that punishment is much greater than the mistake that he has committed. The punishment is that he has to give his life. He has to give up his life. He has to die for that punishment, though the mistake is very small in comparison to the punishment which he is getting. So this is the case in Hamlet. And now the last one. The hero should be such that the audience should experience catharsis while watching the downfall of the hero. Obviously it is true, because this is a very bold tragedy by Shakespeare, and in Hamlet readers or the audience are successful in getting that experience of catharsis when they see the downfall of a hero from the heights when he was a prince to a pitiable creature who has to meet his death. Such downfall obviously arouses the feelings of pity and fear, and it ultimately leads to catharsis. So in that manner we can say that Hamlet is a tragic hero based on the conventions propounded by Aristotle. So in that manner you can understand that these qualities should be possessed by a tragic hero. So this is all about tragic hero, and thanks for patience listening.